Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. If you have not visited before, I'm Reagan Sonneban. I am an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and real estate investor. And today I am so excited to have my friend Julie Kolat joining and sharing some exciting news about an upcoming launch. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Reagan. Hey guys, what's up? So excited to be on Reagan's Real Deal. Thank you so much for having me, Reagan. I appreciate it.
Of course, I'm so excited as well. I've been wanting to have you on, and honestly, you are so all over the place. I think this is the first time I've been able to nail you down
I
for
know.
long enough to get you on as a guest. So I'm really thrilled. I mean, truly, you have had so many balls in the air, and just, I mean, amazing things going on, in all different physical locations and
hmm
promoting things and back and forth on trips and just so incredibly exciting. So today I want to kind of stay focused a little bit on a couple of kind of related things that are part of your Mount Everest and that you've got coming up
Sure.
as far as this exciting launch this very week. So why don't we start with that? I know that you've got a book launch that you're really excited about, and I've seen so much buzz going on about already, but I don't want to explain it wrong. So fill us in a little bit about the history of the book, how it intertwines with what you're doing and what you got going on.
Sure thing, Reagan. So first, let me say, as yourself, entrepreneurs, we juggle a lot of stuff, and I think that's what makes us so special, right? So being part of this community, I do have to give shout out to Pace Morby. Pace, thank you for everything. We're part of the Sub2 community and Owners Club as well, and it has definitely changed our life. In Owners Club, we're working on something called Mount Everest, and we're very familiar with that. So it's basically your 5 year, 3 year, 5 year vision. And for me, near and dear to my heart is veterans. I'm a vet myself. I was in the Air Force for 12 years, served as I started enlisted first, and then I became an officer, an intel officer, and love what I did. I love what the military offered me. It offered me discipline, it offered me structure, it offered me leadership, and it gave me something that I need to be an entrepreneur, which is don't quit, right? Military, if you're in the military, you can't quit. You got to finish the mission. So I love that, and I love, being in the Air Force. It's service before self, excellence in all we do, and that has contributed into our core beliefs here as we go down this path that you and I are going down. And I'm so thankful to have met you. So, speaking of Mount Everest, my Mount Everest is provide affordable housing to 500 veterans using the co-living model. So for your audience, for those who are not familiar, co-living is basically you're renting out rooms. And the reason why that's something that's near and dear to my heart, because as veterans and people who have sacrificed their life, there's so many homeless veterans, and we want to start the mission is to start that mission to provide at least a room to get them off the streets, and then from there transition them into single family homes. So the biggest thing is, there's homeless everywhere in the country, as we know, and we're focusing in Houston with my partner, Louver.
That's so cool. I mean, it's like you said, I definitely kind of skipped over a lot there, thinking about all this shared
Oh, shit.
technology that we have and
Mhm,
know and hold near and dear to our hearts. And I mean, I think what you're doing is so all encompassing, and
mhm,
also the fact that I think you're the person I know and most people know that first got into co-living. So tell a little
mhm.
more about kind of that. Is that part of the start of this story? There's different starts, but
There's different
that
starts to the story. Yes. So co-living, I think many of us, if we're, I'm an immigrant myself, so I think we all started, like having somebody live out of your house and sharing a room. So think of it as a concept, like, like a college, you're going to college, like a dorm room setting. You're basically sharing a room, and or just having a room for yourself. So co-living, as it states, I mean, people may be familiar with Pad Split. So Pad Split is a platform that supports co-living, and it's basically renting out rooms. And the reason, again, like I said, we started with renting rooms is first to get them out of off the streets. And one thing you have to understand with military people, the mindset we have is we we are we don't ask for help. So that's one of the biggest things is letting them know that there is help. And if they would just come in and go to the agencies that would support the help that they need, there's just a ton of resources and a ton of help as we're finding out as we dig deeper into the different agencies that can help and support veterans. And from co-living, it's just I don't know. It's just a strategy. You can also do long-term rentals where you rent if the veteran is married and with kids, we have options for them as well, single family homes. What we've found, Reagan, with some of the agencies that we're working with is they more want efficiency style apartments. So a single bed, a one bedroom, one bath. So everything all encompassing.
And so thinking about the co-living model, and I mean, you have so many different tentacles out into different aspects of real estate, and kind of how that overlaps with co-living, with veterans, with your personal mission, with the
Mm-hmm.
book launch, with all of these things. Talk about like maybe a little bit about how you got into that to begin with, and some lessons that you've learned along the way as far as the co-living space.
Uh, um, well, one of the main reasons, so first of all, the reason why I got into helping veterans, my husband was a vet as well. He was in the Air Force, and he's the one who got me into the Air Force. So, quick backstory, when we got married, his entire family was in the military, and I was so like,
Oh, wow.
in awe of just, the service that they gave, like they gave up their lives. So his dad was in the Army. He was Army Airborne. His oldest brother was in the Marines. Matthew was in the Air Force, and his younger brother was in the Air Force. So when I had decided, I was like, oh my gosh, of course I like men in uniform. Let's they look good, like the navy whites. I'm just saying, you look sharp. But just going through the military, I am so thankful that I decided to join the military. Like when I was deciding was either the military or real estate, and Matthew was like, "Do the military while you're young." I'm still young, but you're younger and you can do certain things. I don't think I can do as many push-ups, or I think I'll fail my physical test right now.
Yeah.
But we won't go there. But I decided to join the military, and then while I was in the military, and I knew I was going to be retiring, I decided to pursue real estate, and the military helped me get my real estate license. And when I got my real estate license, and I really didn't want to show properties. I wanted to get into investing. That's what resonated with me. Um, so I'll get it into why veterans and this mission is so powerful. Matthew and I, we started in real estate in 2019. That's when I started my W-2 job that I'm still in, property management. And I'm so glad I got into that because it's related into real estate. And I've learned so much with this job as far as talking to different agencies, the aspects of managing properties, talking to different landlords and, different expectations, working with tenants, working with contractors. And with the veteran space here, in Pennsylvania, there are so many different agencies. So you have like the Salvation Army, you have Soldiers On. There is, is that me? I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback. But there's so many different agencies, and each state's different. So if it's something, a mission that you're really wanting to help veterans, I would encourage you to go visit your local veteran administration and find out what resources they have in different agencies, or just Google it and just go in and talk to them because they are looking for landlords everywhere because there are so many places that there's needs for veteran housing. The reason why we're focused on veteran Houston as well is because Texas is the number one veteran. They have a lot of veterans in that state, so we're focused in Houston. So fast forward, we got into real estate in 2019, and fast forward a little bit, we got our first property. And in 2021, December 2021, Matthew and I were writing our goals, and for the following year, we were going to work on fix and flips because he's very, very good with his hands. He can build, anything. He's really, really, really good. And we made plans. So the first quarter we'll do one flip because it takes a little while. Then the second we'll do two. Here's how simple our goals were: one flip in the first quarter, um, two in the second quarter, three in the third quarter, and four, right? So that
There
was our
you
plan.
go.
Yeah. But lo and behold, January 24th, 2022, he unexpectedly passed away. So the reason why veterans are near and dear to my heart is because of Matthew. And I just want to continue because he had a go-giver attitude and a server attitude. So I want to continue that.
Wow. And kind of thinking about like that whole trajectory, I mean, it kind of leaves you speechless, honestly. I mean,
Yes.
here you were in the midst of this and with this whole can-do attitude and, a
Hmm.
servant's heart as a veteran, both of you, and, trying to do great work. And then, there were different things in store.
Yes.
I can't even imagine, how you've pulled yourself up by the bootstraps the way you have and, come out in this amazing, thriving, fierce way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
On the outside there has been difficulty, and as you know I've shared finding my identity. And again, I'm thankful for Pace Morby for helping me to find my identity, and just like knowing what and where, what's my purpose in life. And I think we all somewhat struggle, but when we sit back and we look at it, it's not really the money, but what's your true purpose in life, right? So if you do the seven whys, okay, so why do you want more money? Why do you want more money for your family? Ultimately, it's to spend more time with the loved ones that you have. But honestly, do you really need the money? Why don't you just spend the time with your family right now? You know, and losing Matthew unexpectedly made me realize like we have to treasure every moment that we have because we're not promised the next minute, right? So I have really changed my outlook and changed my vision of what I want to do. So right now it's my purpose. And learning from Pace, we want to know like how many lives have we touched versus like, putting a number. It's the amount of money we want to make per year. Like how many lives can we serve? And after reading the Go Giver book, I think that really changed. I think Pace had recommended it, and I think I read that like September of 2024 maybe. And it just changed my perspective, and my goals have been changed and realigned to continue to serve veterans. So to help Matthew. So part of the therapy and the grief and walking through this journey, I started a nonprofit in Matthew's legacy called Vets for Us. So it's Vets, the number four, and Us. So if you want to check it out, it's on Facebook. We have the mission is twofold. So our tagline is called Keeping the Memories Alive. One is the memory of someone, if you have a veteran that passed away like Matthew, or anyone, that was serving that's in active duty and never made it back home. We want to know, send us their picture and, a short message, and we'd love to put them on our Facebook page. And then also the second part is providing affordable housing for veterans. That's where the second part of the mission and what I align with, since we are in real estate, of providing affordable housing for veterans. And we're starting in Houston. As I said, my partner Louver is there. And going through this process, Reagan, it really helps you redefine who you are and really do a lot of soul searching. And hence where the book came. It's called Never Got to Say Goodbye. And it's a series of letters that I wrote after Matthew passed away, of just like dealing with the grief and things that I wanted to tell him that I didn't get to tell him. So it's launching this Friday, the 25th of July, which is my birthday. So I just figured go ahead and just get it done. And, I don't know. My hope and my prayer is as someone reading it would be somebody who's lost someone and some part of my story resonates with you, and to let you know that you're not alone in this journey, that when you lose someone, they never truly go away from you. You just learn how to deal with it and to continue on, because they would want you to continue to put one foot in front of the other and move forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's outstanding. So, thinking about how the book ties in with, your mission with your Mount Everest, if you will, what do you have in mind as far as how that will all kind of weave together with the book, and then, maybe things that come after that, and also how that potentially, ties into the nonprofit as well. I mean, you've got so many sort of interwoven things that are going on, and how in the world you balance this, with family, with your W-2, all of those things. Like, I really don't know, but I know you have this grand plan. So let's talk a little bit about maybe whatever sort of sneak peek you're willing and able to share about what people will hear about later this week with the launch.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And you're incredibly sweet. And I'm so thankful and blessed to have you as a friend, and we shared some good times together. As far as the big picture on what we're looking to do, and when I say we, it's me and God, my Lord and Savior, because He's the one that's directing my path. Is to provide support for women who have lost someone, whether you're a widow or divorced. So, from the bigger picture, this book is going to lead into a new channel called All His Best, and it's a play on words. And quick short story, I got the name from Matthew. Like, I have had this name, this domain name purchased while he was alive, and I just found a purpose to repurpose it. And all his best is your husband's best as well as the Lord's best. So if you have that, you don't need anything else. And the purpose of the channel is to provide support to women and let them, woman empowerment. When I say woman empowerment, I'm not a feminist, but what I want to say is there are things that we can do. We all have a story, we all have a struggle, and we can come out of that. We can be like phoenixes, just coming out of the ashes and literally doing what your purpose is in life. And that's the big picture. So, real estate is the vehicle to get me there. The bigger purpose is speaking on stages and talking to women about what they can achieve. That's my hope. And let them know that, listen, we all have tragedies in life, and you can either, continue down and just, be a victim of the situation, or you can move forward and change other people's lives. So that's what I'm hoping to spark with that.
That's amazing. And, as I think about, our journey with Owners Club, which is not even really, what we're talking about here, but that's what it made me think about as you were talking that, I think that we have such a brave group of people that are
Mhm.
part of Owners Club that are not afraid to make themselves vulnerable, because when you do, that's when you really open yourself up to the possibilities that you're meant to be exploring.
Yes.
And I just know that for myself personally, and I know this is a shared experience, that without that piece of it,
Peace.
you really can't become what you're supposed to become or do what you're supposed to do. And, finding the people in the room that make those connections that you just never would if you, were not making yourself vulnerable and talking about, some of the things like what you're talking about,
Mhm.
others in the group, and just how we can really do well and do good. I think that's kind of a common theme.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, being a go-giver, I mean, you absolutely are. I mean, think about
Thank you.
everything that you've just talked about here. It's a matter of not just trying to be successful, but trying to really move the needle and help others and elevate others, and help people, pull people out of these places they find themselves at time that may feel hopeless in the moment. But when you hear from someone who's lived through it and who's thriving today, that's the
Mhm.
best inspiration there is.
hmm And I love that you say that, right? It's the best inspiration, and it's who we are supposed to be, right?
Mhm.
Helping each other. And what good is it going to be like? It's lonely at the top when you make it to the
Mhm.
top and you don't have anybody else surrounding you. And while we're here, it doesn't mean that you have to be a millionaire or a multimillionaire. Like,
Right.
serve where you're at, right?
Right.
And it doesn't take much. A smile,
Mm.
just your time to talk to someone, yeah, who might be having a rough day. So that's our hope, right? And I think when we look at what PACE is creating for us, and I know we keep going back to Owners Club, but it's because of Owners Club and because of being around like-minded people like yourself and letting ourselves be vulnerable that we're able to open up and achieve different things. So when we look at it, and real estate is a way, but think about other things that he's changing, the lives that he's changing and impacting, and the lives that we are impacting as well by providing housing, right? So if you look at it and you house a veteran, like you take him off the street, how is that? And then you get him to the next step where you provide a single family home, and then he gets married, and that changes that generation. So I think where we're at, Reagan, is we are the one to break that circle in our lives, right? So if we look at our families, we are the one that's changing that breaking that chain and changing the mindset. Of course, we know mindset is huge. We talk about that quite a bit. And creating the generational wealth that our family is supposed to have.
It's amazing. And,
Yes.
thinking about, I feel like this has come up a lot actually at the recent retreat and,
hmm
just in other conversations is, collectively, as a group, we have these very ambitious, and when I say ambitious, I don't mean financially ambitious. I
Right.
mean solving really big, huge problems
Hmm.
that are
Hmm.
not easy to solve, but have ambitious goals. And, I think so much of what kind of gets interwoven between all of these, Mount Everest that we have is the fact that you can't just solve one problem in a
Hmm.
vacuum and then everything's poof magic or whatever. Like you have to have this kind of 360-degree set
Hmm.
of wraparound services and connections, and both yourself, you mentioned different agencies, that
Hmm.
are kind of referral agencies, things like that. Like you have to put all of those things in place in order to, just giving someone a house, a place to live is not going to solve a problem. So
Right.
they need the financial education. They need,
Hmm.
the support services. They need, which those are varied, of course, by individual. But, as a veteran and the things that people have lived through, there are going to be other services that they need. But putting those pieces of the puzzle together in such a way to really help lift people up and make them successful, I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It is, and it really is, and it's like then they will want to pay it forward, and that's not what we're looking for, but that's how the law works. It's just laws that are in place that the more you give, the more you get. I mean, I'm truly, truly like I was, I do a lot of reflection, in the morning. We have our meditation time in the morning. I'm just reflecting that my life is so full. Like, I mean, yes, we can always make more money, but just the vision and the goals that we have, it's just it's so fulfilling.
Well, it really is amazing, I think, to be able to kind of pick and choose, like, this is what I want to focus on.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
it's not what I have to do, at a bare minimum. It's like, you put yourself in a situation
Hmm.
where you can choose what you want to focus on. And so I think, that's really amazing. And just thinking about how that layers in,
Hmm.
with working with others within our community and this book. I mean, this is just a different way to give back because, as you were first sharing with me about the concept of the book, and I mean, it really hit me. I mean, of course, I know and knew your story, but just thinking about, that situation of not having the chance to say goodbye. And I
Hmm.
myself, the only closest loss that I've had in my life has been my dad, who I lost at a young age, and I got kind of a hybrid. And you think about people have a long illness, that has
Hmm.
its own hardships that go with it, or you lose someone suddenly like you
Right.
did. In my case, I mean, my dad had a massive stroke. We
Mm,
didn't think he
sorry.
would make it through it. And
Hmm.
then there was 6 months in between, before he actually passed. So I got a little bit of both. And, that is, I think, was really a gift. I mean, you just have to think of it that way in whatever way you deal with loss. But,
Hmm.
that since that happened in my early 20s, I think I've lived my life in such a way always, when I go to bed at night, I want to make sure I've said what I have to say. But you
Hmm.
didn't have that leading up to
Right.
this loss. And so
Yeah.
now I'm sure you're like forever changed with
Hmm.
just that day to day way you live your life and how you do things and never leave anything unsaid. So, what do you feel comfortable sharing ahead of the book launch of, maybe people wanting to join later this week for the launch event, or if they can't join for the launch event, where they can get the book, any, messages, encouragement, things that you want to share about that?
Sure, sure. And one thing you said, one thing in life that we'll all experience is loss at some point in your life, right? And whether it's a sudden loss or whether, like you said, if somebody's sick, whether it's a divorce, it's still a loss, it's still a grief. And everyone deals with grief differently. For me,
Mhm.
it was writing. I still journal Matthew every day since he's passed. So it's a therapy, right? So it's however you deal with it. And
Mhm.
if you're someone, I'm just going to talk to your audience. If you're
Mhm.
someone that's going through grief right now,
Mhm.
and don't let anybody tell you that you have to do something or this is how it should be, because everyone experiences and deals with grief differently, and it's in
Mhm.
your own time. Just know that you're loved, and it's just part of the process. I was angry, I was upset, I was, fine in one moment. I can hear a song, I can see some things, and something triggers you, and we all deal with it, and we see the feathers, we see, I see him in certain things, and it's just amazing that that you get to deal with it, and then you're also, I feel, like other people, their lives go on. They didn't have this emptiness that I feel inside, Um, for others that are dealing with it, it's just, find a support system. I am so fortunate that I had my parents, both my parents, and to deal with it and just find something that you enjoy, that you can push yourself towards it and find joy. You are going to have those days where you're just going to want to curl up and cry, and that's fine. That, just deal with it the way you deal with it. And as long as it takes, but just know that you at some time there's a season for everything, a season to cry, a season to laugh. So it's just a season, and this too shall pass, right? As far as sharing the book is going to be on Amazon, and I'll give you the link so you can share the link. It's virtual launch on Friday the 25th. And if you need to reach out to me or just talk to me and you just want to, chit chat with me, just reach out to me on my Instagram channel. It's Julie.Kolat. And the Zoom link, well, I can also share the Zoom link with you as well, Reagan.
Absolutely. Amazing. I mean, I just think it's really beautiful the way that this all kind of ties together. And, I
Hmm.
think there's an empowerment piece to it as well. And,
Yes.
that is, thinking about, the community that we've been talking about and, thinking about how that really can help lift people up, before or after experiencing,
Hmm.
incredibly challenging things. And I think
Yes.
that, inevitably, as part of that sort of a process, somewhere along the way, there's this feeling of hopelessness. But, thinking about how really creatively thinking and approaching business and real estate and
Hmm.
building a legacy, that is an opportunity to help empower people as well. So it's not
Hmm.
just the housing that we're providing, the book that you're launching,
Right.
or any of these individual things. It's that whole ecosystem. And
Hmm.
just thinking about that as a vehicle to really just improve things at a bigger level. And I mean, that's pretty powerful.
It is, it is. And the one thing from this everything that I'm going through and dealing with is to provide hope. This is only life. We can provide hope to someone. There's so
Mhm.
many people who are just alone, they're desolate, they're depressed. And if they can get just one shimmer of hope, then I think I've done my duty in life. So that's my purpose. And as far as the mission, if you want to help us support the mission for housing veterans, we do need private money lenders and private money partners. So please reach out on my Instagram and we can talk more. I just want to have this one focus about, the launch, the book launch, and also serving veterans. We're here to serve. And you'll see that across it. Reagan, she has a heart of gold and she's here to serve as well. So guys, please like and subscribe to her channel. And she's doing impressive work as well in housing. So that's what we're here to create. Just create and solve people's problems. So
Well, Julie, thank you so much for making time in such a busy week when you've got the launch coming up. You've had, amazing things going on the last few weeks, and I'm really excited to join you on Friday on your birthday and for the
thank
first
you.
book launch and to
I
be
appreciate.
there to be a cheerleader for everything you're doing along the way. So I'll be sure to share contact information for Julie as she mentioned. Definitely do follow her content and her journey and her mission and how that all plays itself out, and find out what the next things are coming up after this. So thanks again, and Julie, so glad to have you.
Thank you, Reagan. Thanks for having me, and thanks, guys. We love you. Peace.